The truth about Torey is he is great for young players to land under, and considering that is what this franchise is always going to use to build this franchise, and that's the only way, that's their only path to success. That's what makes Torey a good manager for this job. Welcome into another D-Backs Trending podcast. I'm your mayor. He's your dog. It's Derek Montilla, Damon Farrell here to talk about the recent news of Torey Lovullo sticking around as the Diamondbacks manager in 2026. Now, it is the final year of his contract. So as we've discussed on the show, it's not really a big surprise here that Torey is sticking around for the final year, especially considering what a mess 2026 could be as far as the roster is concerned. But there are a lot of fans that feel like Torey Lovullo should have been relieved of his duties, and considering the other members of his managerial fraternity that were dismissed here, Damon, is it fair to say that it's time for a change, and that fans that are and have been demanding for Torey Lovullo to lose his job or have a case?
Fans are demanding Torey Lovullo to lose his job. I guess I wasn't aware of that. I thought D-backs fans everywhere were simultaneously rejoicing as our longest tenured manager in franchise history is being brought back.
Your view must be very different on that side of the MAC, because on this side the comments are not very positive for Torey, but obviously you jest, considering that it does feel like it might be a vocal minority, but it's a very loud vocal minority that have been demanding for Torey to lose his job for a long time.
They very much want Torey gone, and they view Torey as like the crux of the issues with the Arizona Diamondbacks organization. And I think what Mike Hazen said today, and you guys can go check out, his answer on Torey Lovullo on our YouTube channel. We have that presser up on the channel already, and he basically just said, that there are so many things that go into the job of a manager.
Right.
And Torey does so many things good. Is he perfect? No. Is anyone perfect?
No.
And yeah, there probably is something too. I know there was the idea of Terry Francona was a free agent last year. You could have brought him in. And maybe that could have been a decent move.
Sure.
Right? That's a great manager, all-time manager. The Reds are in the postseason with one of the worst postseason teams in the history of the league.
Crazy.
Yeah, and so I can hear that argument. But what I would ask people right now is, who do they look at on the market and say,
that's our guy?
Who improves the Diamondbacks in 2026 with that manager?
Well, and Torey even said that. Torey said that, he didn't know if he was going to come back. And if he lost his job, he felt like he was just hoping and was confident that the guy that came next would do a better job than he did. And that was a weird way to put it, but I think he means it from the perspective of at least setting this team up for success, and perhaps a new voice could help them reach that next level. I mean, Torey's always been very honest about who he is and his feelings. And I think to a detriment, right? Torey saying stuff like, I sucked my thumb and ate chocolate peanut butter ice cream after losing the World Series in 2023 made a lot of people dislike him. They felt like that was a weak...
It's not big tough guy, it's not baseball talk.
Right, for sure, right? And it's him just being vulnerable and honest about his feelings, and that's who Torey is. And sometimes he's too honest, and it does make him look like he's less of a capable manager than he actually is. The truth about Torey is he is great for young players to land under, and considering that is what this franchise is always going to use to build this franchise, and that's the only way, that's their only path to success. That's what makes Torey a good manager for this job. I realized today during the press conference that Mike brought up Geraldo Perdomo and what he became just this year, just since extending him, and how there were people doubting why they extended him at the beginning of the season. Not this guy. He didn't. He was thrilled that happened.
Pay him more money.
He's like, this took way too long, right? But what Perdomo became, a literal MVP candidate over the course of this year, I think is a reflection of Torey as a manager to a degree. And you could say that about other guys that have had similar trajectories that had doubts about them throughout their career. Ketel Marte was a throw-in to the Diamondbacks in the trade. And under Torey's watch, Ketel Marte became an all-star, superstar second baseman.
Yeah.
Right? We've had our problems this year with Ketel, obviously. But overall, the body of work is that Ketel became one of the elite players in baseball. And that was under Lovullo. So no matter what you say about Lovullo as a manager and some of his game decisions, you're not going to be wrong about that. There are a lot of instances where, Torey's managing has probably cost this team games. But I agree with Damon where it's who is on the market that's going to make this team better? There are some young candidates out there that are bench coaches and unproven kind of talent. But, now we're seeing Bruce Bochy lose his job. We're seeing Bob Melvin lose his job, right? A lot of fans feel again, that the Diamondbacks are just keeping Torey around due to the World Series appearance. And now his counterpart, the one that won the World Series that same year, has been relieved of his duties. It was a very amicable split. It's like when a couple breaks up and neither one of them wants to say they're the decider. We just mutually decided it was best for both of us that we split ways.
Wasn't working.
Yeah, it wasn't working for us, but that's how that went. So I understand fans feeling like Torey should have been let go, but also it's not like he was extended. He just has one final year on his contract, and I think that is a big reason why he's returning in 2026, essentially.
I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but in my opinion, in Mike Hazen's opinion clearly, and Ken Kendrick's opinion clearly, Torey Lovullo and the good and the pros that he brings to the table outweigh the, we're going to rest Jordan Lawler after he's had 2 really good hitting games, and maybe it gets him out of his slump a little bit. Very frustrating. I agree. It's entirely frustrating. Yeah. Or, hey, Torey, you can clearly see this guy doesn't have it on the mound right now. This reliever doesn't have it.
But he's going to leave them in. He doesn't even have someone warming up.
And so that stuff is incredibly frustrating. I totally level with people that are frustrated by that. But I just challenge them to try to think about the positives that Torey brings as well. And to your point, Derek, like 2026 is not going to be about a star-studded, stacked D-backs roster like we saw in 2025. And if the D-backs were approaching 2026 similarly to last offseason, in terms of their spending and their expectation level, I could maybe even hear a little bit more of an argument of a new voice would be needed in this room. Sure. But when you factor in all the injuries, when you factor in all the holes on this team, first base, third base, left field, center field, starting pitching, relief pitching, backup catcher, name it, all of it.
Do you really want to dump that on a brand new manager?
Brand new manager, but also, take away the manager who thrives when he's being given a short hand, and when he's at his best when essentially you don't have the most talent in front of you at your disposal. So that part of things, I'm like, I think 2026, you got to let Torey play it out, see how he does. I mean, if he could prove something and earn an extension, he also could potentially not. Yeah. And so I think that he's earned that right. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but I do think that with just kind of the ragtag roster that they're going to have in 26, that Torey's the right guy for that job.
My main concern is that us doing this podcast might cost us our Sunday dinner over at the Lovullos, obviously, which a lot of people have accused us of having, right? But what I will say, and we've never doubted,
that'll never leave Sunday Lovullo dinner.
We're in his heart forever. We're going to help him put up his Christmas lights. But I will say that overall, I think what we've learned recently, especially with Torey's omission about, that he's not fully in charge of the decisions when it comes to the starting rotation, to the starting lineup, all of these things that people have accused him of being bad at. It does make you wonder a little bit more, about that. I know we know that's more common in baseball now. It's not unique to the Diamondbacks, but it's also something that new manager has to put up with, right? Like that new manager has to put up with the front office having a big say in how this team is managed on a day-to-day basis.
I think conversely, I think a lot of the Torey haters, if you will, would say that maybe Mike and Ken Kendrick just want a yes man. Maybe not Ken Kendrick, but Mike Hazen wants a yes man, and he likes that Torey lets him make decisions and stuff like that.
Sure.
I don't necessarily view that as the case. Torey says he has a seat at the table, and I think it's a very collective discussion. But I do think Torey is very much the punching bag in the face, and he knows that. And he's comfortable with that. He knows that's his job.
He is. He accepts responsibility. He accepts accountability for things that he's not even accountable for because he feels like that's the job of the manager, right? When a player wants a day off, he says he gave them the day off. He doesn't want to go out there and make the player look weak and say, oh, yeah, Cattell asked me for a day off, right? But again, sometimes those explanations would make far more sense than Cattell giving a guy a day off one day after he hit 3 home runs and knocked in 9 RBI, right? And that's what makes people want to light their torches and get their mob together against
and I get
Torey.
that.
Yeah, I do too. But overall, I think that this is a good decision for the Diamondbacks, and I do think that they're going to have a very difficult road ahead of them starting right now. Like how they deal with both having less money to spend and also a lot of roster holes to fill. But I still feel like for the time being, especially with this team being young, Torey is the man for the job. We probably will see a new manager in the near future. I think it's an impossible task set before Torey in order for 2026 to not be considered mediocre. The expectations aren't very high, so they're not the same expectations to live up to from last year, but still winning is really the only thing I think people in this fan base and in this organization accept. So again, mediocrity would probably mean that we will see a new manager in 2027, but who knows? if we will even see baseball in 2027. So
that's the other side of things.
Yeah.
Is do you want to upheave your entire organizational structure 1 year before baseball's most likely going to be canceled?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it already, but I will not go anywhere. I'm like a cockroach. I'll still be here doing this show. I will talk about Korean baseball if I have to every single day. But we thank you guys, of course, for your time. We will be here doing our regular show, so make sure to join us for that. Until then, you can follow us on Twitter, @Cap_caveman with a K. He's at Damon Dog with a DAWG. We're all Damon's dogs. Bark, bark. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks, but all roads lead to @PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Have a good one. And remember, kids, baseball is fun. It's just so much more fun when you have confidence in your manager.